Hey everybody. So back when I was at probably 21, 23, someone asked in a YouTube comment if when I got world record, I would make a commentary track for it, since I usually do these things micless. I told them, I'm not sure I'm actually going to get world record, but they had faith in me, so I guess I'm kind of contractually obligated. I'll try to let it run for the most part, but I'll probably end up stopping it at least a few times to kind of explain tricks as we go along, kind of explain what we're doing. For example, like right at the start of the run, the reason that I've started restarting so much more is that I am actually trying to go for the frame perfect text storage right at the start. If you don't know, basically, you can do text storage on any text box in the game as long as you press the map button, I believe, the same frame that the text box opens. When you're doing this off of a monitor, you have control of when the text box opens, so it's just press open for the text box, like press the activate button for the monitor and then press the map button the very next frame, and that activates text storage. But there's no way to do that on the first text box. What you instead have, what I ended up having to do was setting a metronome to 90 BPM and letting it tick 16, like starting it when I start the run and letting it tick, I think it's 16 times to get basically the exact frame that this first text storage happens. And as we'll see in the run, that basically lets me start the first boss fight like a good amount faster. And honestly, I think there's actually even more time to save in that split going forward. But with that explained, I will probably just let it run and then say things as I think of them. So let's get going. Yeah, it's like 10.66 seconds, and I counted the frames out, and it is almost on the dot to a 90 frame metronome to do that. Which is really nice because like no one else does that, basically. There's no good cue for it, so everyone's kind of like, if you get the first text storage, good. If not, oh well. You can kind of already see, like, I screwed this up in a bunch of places and probably lost 2 or 3 seconds right here. This is why my sum of bests is down at 2014, because even this run has got a lot of mistakes in it. But just getting the text storage at all means you don't have to run across this room to start this boss fight, which is really, really nice. Tiny little thing there, you have full control when you kill that boss, and when he explodes, he pushes you away from wherever he exploded, so you kind of want to try to get on top of that block. It's like a 1 to 2 second save if you get it, which is another thing that I missed. The early parts of this run are very, like, simple because we don't really have any of the movement tech, but they're also very, very precise because it's, like, extremely hard to only walk 1 pixel. It took me 3 tries to get the text storage this time around. That's another use of text storage. Basically, if you don't know, text storage, like the way that most of the triggers in this game work is if you're in the room and a text box closes, the trigger for that room activates. So like in that previous room, the trigger to open the security room is tied to any text box closing in that room. So we just pop in with the text box open, close the text box, and that turns it off to save us the trip back and forth. There's a lot of little things like that in the game. It's sweet. I hate that guy. It's very difficult for me to avoid him, at least consistently. And actually, speaking of guys I hate, this fucking fly jump. You can totally back this up, like, without too much trouble, but I've never bothered to learn it because I don't really like AI lazy chase patterns and, like, learning to manipulate them. So I was just like, okay, look, if I can get a 99% success rate, then anytime I fail, I'll just end a run, and it won't kill too many. and that's just fine. So we skip the second boss by using this secret over here. By the way, if you jump off of that like cliff there, you aggro this fly, and it's so much easier than just walking off. It puts him on a perfect plane for you to just kind of go along your way and shoot him when it's convenient for you. I don't see a lot of people do that. They should do that. Once again, another relatively low section with like some intense movement. These worms, purely RNG. The only place you really have to worry is that top hole. Like if one's coming out of that, there's a very high chance that it's gonna hit you. Otherwise, you're probably safe. These rooms, I'm basically buffering a jump and shoot to hit this guy and land on his platform. Like both of these, you kind of want to do that because if you're just holding forward, there's a very high chance that you just bash into someone while the strain transition is still happening. Not too much going on in these jumps. A lot of people go under that top platform there. I don't like it. I don't think it saves any time, and if you miss it, you lose your run. So like, why would I do that? That's just me personally, though. It is pretty swag. This staircase here is absolute hell to walk through. Like, it's really, really hard to only go one tile in this game. Now we're gonna do some damage boosts. This particular trick is, or like, cycle with this pufferfish is not fully in my control as far as I know, but I got a really good cycle here. It is very funny that you can get the last item in the game, or at least the last item in the main game, by doing just 4 separate damage boosts to get around the gold card blocks that are just all over this place. I absolutely love it. Pretty happy with the start. I kind of consider everything up through V-Dash to be like the start of the run. There's 2 full resets in it. Oh, that was nice. There's a lot of times where I take a hit in there, and you get hit in the water, you get bounced like way higher than you would normally, which really sucks. It's way, way slower to get hit in the water than it is to get hit in normal stuff. But anyway, as I was saying, I kind of consider everything up through V-Dash to be the start of the run, because there's 2, like, restart the run kind of tricks, and you don't have all of your movement tech quite yet. And I mean, we're still not there because we don't have the hook shot, which is definitely the most buck wild thing, but by the time that you have double jump and V-Dash, your movement is definitely starting to get a lot more interesting. It's definitely the biggest thing that I like about this game. You have so many different options at any given point in time. And while it's like relatively simple a lot of the time, like jumping or moving while jumping and moving on the ground are basically exactly the same. There are a lot of little optimizations you want to make, like the way that whatchamacallit, V-Dash basically stops your horizontal momentum completely, means that in a long room like this and the next one, you actually don't want to be V-Dashing down a lot of these, because it stops your horizontal momentum, and you're gonna hit the ground long before you would have hit a, like long before you get the gain from dashing yourself downwards. The only time that you want to V-Dash down is when you are like up against a wall, so you can't make any horizontal progress towards where you want to go. I'm still kind of figuring a lot of that stuff out, though. Just barely missed this. This room is really sloppy, but it's fine. That's why there's I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna get a better world record at some point. There's a lot of stuff you can clean up. I don't remember what kind of pattern Trashbot gave me. Trashbot is kind of RNG. I think this is kind of a bad pattern. So like the direction and the like speed at which he spins there, sometimes he can end up right where you want him, where you can just dash right in his head, and then other times he has to travel like a really far distance. And it's only a few seconds, but it is completely out of your control. Like, Scrapping Unit and Virus are the 2 places, like, where when you're super optimized, there's actually some RNG in the fight. None of it's hyper major, but it is worth noting. I've also noticed sometimes I get that in 3 shots and a dash, and sometimes I need 4. Like, the terminals usually have 5 health. Not really sure what that's about. And now we got the hook shot. Oh boy. This is where the movement in the game just gets absolutely wacky. I've said before that, like, the jump in this game and the hook shot are both basically frame perfect, like, every time you do them. The hook shot is the one that has just absolutely wild effects, because the difference between hitting a hook shot and, you know, falling further and missing it, you'll end up, you know, you want really, really long hook shots, but if you miss them, sometimes you will just dunk yourself in ways that you can't do anything about. You can see that my gun is pointing down in this room, and the reason for that is that in narrow spaces, aiming down actually gives you slightly longer hook shots. So it's really good when you're kind of in narrow bits. This fucking room, I always try to experiment in it, but that's dumb. I should just do what I'm doing here and, like, or at least in runs, because that strategy, that thing I just did right there is something I figured out, like, I don't know, months ago, and then I kept doing slightly different things and they always ended up worse, so I should just stick with, like, the stuff that I know. Activate that teleporter there, because we'll be back later. My movement in this room got a little screwed up, like, no, actually, no, I do this right both times, don't I? Yeah, that's the way I want that room to look. There's definitely some slightly more optimal ways I can take the damage boosts in here, but I'm really happy that I dodged that guy. I'm actually kind of curious if I can do that consistently going into the future. I dashed up there because I thought I was going to hit the wall, and if you hit the lower wall, like, you need to dash up or you're just not going to make it up and you're just going to fall in the water. There's a lot of times where, like, I have to react before I see how my movement turned out, basically. So sometimes you'll basically see me do something that was quote-unquote wrong for the situation, but was actually necessary. You know, it's basically a hedge against doing the slightly wrong thing so that I lose a bit less time. That dude that I shot there takes 15 shots, and I think when he shoots you, you're like, there are sometimes frames where you're slightly inactionable. So, like, even if you've got good shooting rhythm, he can still kind of mess you up. It's a bit annoying. I dashed down there because I don't have, like, I can't move forward against the wall, by the way, and there's also a crumbling block, so, like, by dashing down, you basically instantly fall down as opposed to waiting for the block to fully crumble. This fucking sand room, it's really hard to hook shot in this room because the roof is, like, you know, wavy like that. This trick here is something that Smokesmo told me about. Like, you can basically go under this, and it's faster than the thing, but if you miss it, you get dunked into the sand. It's like a 4 or 5 second loss, which is pretty bad, but I think it's a 2-second save if you get it, and it's not actually that hard as long as you're ready for it. Aiming up and hookshotting helps a lot. If you don't know, when you aim up or down, it actually slightly changes the position that the hookshot is fired from. And aiming up in particular gives you a few extra pixels to hit long hookshots, which means that you're much less likely to, you know, dunk yourself on the ground while trying to go for a super long hookshot. So it's a bit tough to do it on a controller, but I use keyboard, and I take advantage of it quite a lot. There's a lot of places in the run where that extra control is just super, super nice. Let's see. We're coming up on the RN Jelly room. The way that the jellyfish move is basically random, so a lot of the time I'm kind of just shooting and trying to get them out of the way so that they won't bother me. I got caught on that ledge, boo. But I shot that dude, and when you're falling down at a really fast speed, like, and you take a hit, it just wastes so much time. I took a damage boost from that guy because getting pushed up is slightly faster than swimming up, especially because I was able to turn myself around and push myself in the direction I want to go. There's definitely a lot of places in the run where we can benefit from that sort of thing. Also, really happy with that hook shot. I miss that all the time, but if you can hook shot directly into the upgrade, it doesn't actually kill your momentum, and you just continue swinging after the text box goes away. Then you can double jump and swing back, and it's super fast, and I love it. Skip Serpent 5 here, do another one-frame trick with that jump right there. You saw my double jump went higher. That's because I pressed hook shot the frame after I started a double jump. For some reason, it basically just continues your momentum much further than it should. I think it's because the hook shot basically like freezes your momentum in place or something like that. By the way, I have to do teleport storage there where most people don't, because my shoot and my use button are exactly the same, which means when I try to use a teleporter, it opens the teleport menu, and then the shoot button instantly closes it. So like, putting them on the same thing makes my teleport storages in general way more consistent, but it does mean I have to add an extra one into the run, which is kind of funny. Like, most people can just use that teleporter normally. Anyway, we just canceled our teleport storage into a text storage, and this text storage is actually kind of special, because normally, like I said, the text storage just activates whatever's in the room, but this particular text box turns the power on in the station and transforms, like, basically every room, and because of that, it's actually a little special. When this text box closes, all the power to the station turns on. And we basically take it into here to avoid a room locking on us, which is really nice. Pop into here where I basically invented a cycle skip. You see I'm aiming up and basically waiting for that to go in. If I jump up, dash, and hook shot through those blocks, I only take 3 damage, and most people basically have to wait for these little like orb things to slowly move along, but I basically was able to skip. Going to do the robot. Yeah, I did stop him on this run. Basically, if you were on the same like X coordinate, so exactly above him, the turn that like the same frame that the robot decides what it wants to do, it actually gets stuck in an infinite for loop. Or actually, I think it just doesn't have a logic thing to do with its AI. So it just stops working. It's really nice. You can actually see us do that in a few places in the run sometimes, but that's like the one that really helps because I have to do, I think, 2 dashes if I screw that up. So that's like 2 or 3 seconds save whenever I get that. It's a little random, but I think we think it's basically like based on the movement you did in the previous block, because there's some weird subpixel stuff that you can do with it. Alright, security 1-2. I'm at 5.7 seconds ahead at this point, so I'm feeling like, oh god, this is where the nerves start. This is another room, like, coming back into here where I've realized I just have to kind of keep it simple. As long as I get up to that platform up there, I can at least do this decently, so I really just focus on trying to get up to here, you know? I know how to handle this room and the trip back if I'm on cycle by the time that I get to the back half of it. So as long as I get up there, it doesn't really matter if it was slightly slow. This room, I developed this strategy that I'm doing for this room, and you can basically watch me fuck it up over and over and over. I'm supposed to short hop under that, and because I miss it, I also miss the cycle for these lightning blocks, so I ended up taking 6 damage that I really wish I hadn't. This room ends up being super slow and almost costs me world record, god. But hey, that's at least a place where next time I get some free time save, which is good because there's not too much of it in this run, as you can kind of see from my verse gold splits here. I also decided to be a coward and take the health up here, because doing this fight with 3 health on near world record pace, I would have died, just guaranteed. I don't have the nerves of steel for that yet. It's about 2 seconds, I think I found, if you do take the heal, so like it's not major, and I'd rather do that. Like it does kind of make a difference for me at the timing that I'm at right now, but I kind of view it as like a bonus for doing well in those left side security rooms rather than something that I absolutely have to do, you know? There are times where I leave those security rooms with like 13 health, when I do everything absolutely perfectly. Security Overmind's an auto-scroller. The only thing we can do to like speed this phase up is that sometimes he will bounce twice and skip like basically one of those jumps up and down, which is about a 2-second save. We don't have a consistent way to control it though, so like it's not something that people actually go for. By the way, the one fun challenge thing we do for this fight is that you can see I have teleport storage up, and that basically means that I have to keep teleport storage throughout the entirety of this fight. It's not that hard as long as you're aware that when you try to jump when you don't have a jump, you will turn off the teleport storage. Or if you ever shoot, but because he doesn't take damage from your shots, it doesn't really matter. But the big thing that stops people from being able to do this fight is, like with the teleport storage, is that if you get hit and you try to jump away, you lose teleport storage because you're inactionable for a few frames after you hit. Anyway, you can see that my bad box room cost me 4 whole seconds, so at this point I'm looking at my time and being like, oh dear. But luckily, we know how this ends up. I started fitting 2 hook shots in there. I don't know if it's like super optimal, but it feels like it is. More hook shots is just better most of the time. I really wish there was a task of this game because you could see some absolutely bonkers hook shot shit. My movement in this room can probably be optimized. All right, virus. The biggest thing about this very first phase is that I have to calm my nerves and wait until this robot hits the ground. There are a lot of times where you see me wait to start moving until he goes, and if I get myself in his hitbox too early, it basically means I don't have the iframes to like leave him. I have to take a hit like to freeze him in place with shell lock, but I don't have to take a second hit from him. I always do because I got like nerves of butter, but like it is just really the biggest thing that I have to tell myself every time on that text box is slow the fuck down. Also, that last hit I took there was just the most unnecessary thing in the world. That was definitely just pure nerves. But luckily, the virus gives me probably the best possible pattern. I'm probably going to pause it like right once this fight starts to kind of explain. When you start this fight, only one hand actually does, you know, like can pick an action. So basically you got a 50-50 chance of the hand that you go for being the hand that does an action. Then there are 3 possible things that each hand can do. So the best possible outcome is if the right hand, or if the hand that you're not going for, in this case the right hand, does absolutely everything, because I'm going for the left hand. You basically kill the other hand for free because you can rub your plasma shield all over it, and then wait for the other hand to go do whatever it wants to do. Otherwise, if your bad hand goes, you've got a 33% chance that it either does the blue hands, the fist, or the finger guns. If it does the finger guns, there's a 50-50 chance that it either does, up moving down or down moving up. The only pattern that absolutely screws me is finger guns going down, because I basically plan as if I have enough time to do a bunch of damage to the hand and then get out of the way to not take a hit, and it's 3 damage if you get hit. So whenever you see it go left finger gun down, that is basically like absolute worst case scenario, because I either take 3 damage or I lose like a decent amount of hand damage. That said, in this particular run, I actually got probably the best possible pattern, because you can see I had all the time in the world to blow up the left hand. Like, I can just rub myself against it and you're doing a ton of damage with the plasma shield. But the fist that he did here is actually the easiest one. You can see that I get like a few shots in and dodge straight up through when I do that. And that's really good, because it means that I can basically, like, while the hand is in downtime, finish it off, spawn the platforms, and then also pray they don't do a finger gun straight onto that platform, because that would also kind of screw me. Luckily, in this run, you can see they went down rather than up. If they do finger guns on the platform that I'm jumping to, I'm just screwed basically. That's ended at least a few runs. As a very minor note that will only, like, if you're running this game, this is only going to be relevant to you once your boss strategy is really, really good. The way that the hand timing works and that you get what we call fast hands is that only the right hand matters in terms of doing, like, in terms of when the next attack comes out. So if you start out and the left hand goes first, and you blow up the left hand, the next thing that happened, like, the left hand is going to do whatever of the attacks that it's going to do, but because the right hand knows it needs to go, and it wasn't doing anything previously, as soon as the left hand finishes its attack, the right hand and the left hand are instantly going to start the next one. This also means that if your right hand does a really fast attack and your left hand does a really slow attack, so that the right hand finishes up, but the left hand is still attacking, the timer actually starts while the left hand is still attacking. And that's why sometimes it can seem like the virus will finish an attack that you finish dodging and then instantly start up again. These are all, like, really tiny things, but the important thing to know for this run is that he gave me an absolutely blessed pattern here, and that's why I was able to make up, like, the last, I guess, 2.5 seconds to get the world record, and then 2.5 more, I guess 2 more to actually beat it. So, like, basically at this point, I am pooping myself because I know that I have gotten an absolutely ridiculous pattern here. I finish that, like, before the next one even starts, and I even get lucky enough that these things go down here and are basically completely irrelevant. You can see the timing didn't even start for the next set of hands until I was already smacking his face. So at this point, I am just freaking out internally because I saw that I got the last hit on 218, and 220 is basically, like, world record pace. But I still have to sit here. I think Serene has run in by this point. And because she also knows that I have almost certainly got it. But it was, like, the end of this run. I mean, I had to play really, really well up through Security 1 and 2 to even set myself up. But the virus gave me an outrageously blessed pattern to be able to actually get this under time. This was really, really lucky, but as you can kind of see from the golds that I got in this, like, there are places where if I just, practice it out, if I just make sure that I'm, totally confident going into the Security Overmind room, there is so much time that I can actually save on this. I'm taking a little break now, really let my hands get good and healthy, but I am absolutely going to come back to this and go. I think this game is super, super fun. I would love if some other people joined up and, like, took a run for it. I would say this is the kind of game where, assuming you've beaten it before, I don't want to say it's really easy to get a sub 25 because this game is just really hard on its own, but if you've beaten this game, and if you haven't played it, you really should. It is my favorite Metroidvania easily. But if you've beaten this game, it is a relatively easy speed run to get down to, like, a sub 25 time. It is a very, very hard speed game to get down to, like, a sub 23. Once you get comfortable with the overall route, with the basic frame perfect tricks, which are all very easy to retry, so, like, I know it sounds kind of scary when I say there's 3 different frame perfect tricks in this game, but each time you miss one, you are losing probably half a second, so, like, you can kind of just really drill down on them over the course of a run. But, like, once you really, really get down and your time is starting to get under 23 minutes and obviously even lower, I think I can get it down to, like, 20-30. I'd say without too much trouble, with a lot of work, but the path to it is very clear. But this game is so intricate to play at a really, really high level. And if you like that kind of thing, like, I don't know, steal my world record for me. I got it now, and I don't intend to give it up. So let's see if someone else can come kick me off of it. I think with that, I'll let Past Me kind of take over, because I was just like, oh fucking shit. See you guys later, and hope you got something fun from this commentary. Oh my god!
Ah!
That's world record.
You got it! Oh,
Oh shit.
oh shit! Yeah!
Oh god.
Did it!
That was a ridiculous virus to make up for the box room.
Oh, it was so